Stop lying to yourself. You know exactly what your purpose is. You've known since you were 7 years old, standing in your backyard, doing that thing that made perfect sense until an adult told you it was stupid. You've known in every job interview when they asked, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And you gave them the answer they wanted while your soul threw up a little. You're not searching for your purpose. You're hiding from it. Because finding it would mean admitting that the last 10, 20, 30 years of your life have been an elaborate performance. And you're terrified that if you stop performing, everyone will see who you really are. Good, they should. That's the point. Jung had a word for this cosmic game of hide and seek you're playing with yourself. Neurosis. Not the clinical kind, the everyday kind where you wake up at 3 a.m. wondering why you feel dead inside when you have everything you're supposed to want. That deadness, that's your purpose trying to get your attention. But instead of listening, you take melatonin and check Instagram. But I've tried everything, you say. Of course you have. That's the game. You've tried everything except the one thing that matters, sitting still long enough to hear what your own psyche has been trying to tell you through your dreams, your anxieties, your inexplicable attractions to certain things that make no logical sense. You see, the modern world has sold you a lie. It told you that purpose is something you find, like a missing sock or a career path in a guidance counselor's office. But Jung knew better. Purpose isn't found, it's uncovered. It's already there, buried under layers of what your parents wanted, what society expects, what your ego thinks will make you look successful at your high school reunion. Here's what nobody tells you. Every time you felt that strange pull towards something impractical, every time you had a dream that felt more real than your waking life, every time you met someone and thought, "This person is showing me something about myself," that was your unconscious trying to hand you a map. But instead of reading it, you crumpled it up and threw it away because it didn't look like a LinkedIn profile. The individuation process. That's what Jung called it. Sounds fancy, doesn't it? It's not. It's the simplest and most brutal thing in the world. It's the process of becoming who you actually are instead of who you think you should be. And the reason you haven't found your purpose? You're terrified of that process. Because to become who you actually are means admitting that who you've been pretending to be is a lie. Look at what you hate in others. Really look at it. That person at work who drives you insane with their arrogance, that's your shadow showing you your own disowned confidence. The friend whose emotional neediness repulses you, that's the part of yourself you've decided is too weak to exist. Jung discovered that what we can't stand in others is precisely what we've rejected in ourselves. And guess what lives in that rejection? Your purpose. A patient once came to Jung, successful banker, completely dead inside. Had everything, the money, the respect, the family. Spent his sessions talking about his achievements while his hands shook like leaves. One day, Jung asked him about his dreams. The man went quiet, finally admitted he'd been having the same dream for 20 years. He was a violinist playing in empty concert halls. Ridiculous, the banker said. I haven't touched a violin since I was 12. 12, when his father told him music was for people who couldn't do real work. You want to know why midlife crisis is a thing? It's not because people suddenly want sports cars. It's because the first half of life, you build the ego. You construct this elaborate persona, the good employee, the responsible adult, the person who has it together. But the second half, that's when the self starts knocking. And it doesn't knock politely. It pounds on the door with depression, with anxiety, with a sense that everything you've built is meaningless. Follow your passion. What garbage advice? Your passion isn't some hidden treasure waiting to be discovered through a vision quest. Your purpose is in the very things you've been systematically avoiding. It's in the conversations you don't want to have, the feelings you don't want to feel, the parts of yourself you've decided are unacceptable. You know what's really sick? We admire in others what we won't permit in ourselves. You watch someone living authentically and you call them brave, while you're too scared to admit you hate your job. You see someone creating art and think, must be nice, while your own creativity rots in the basement of your psyche like a corpse you're pretending doesn't smell. The self, capital S, that's the totality of who you are, conscious and unconscious together. But you're identified with a tiny sliver of consciousness, this little ego island, thinking that's all there is. Meanwhile, the ocean of your unconscious is full of treasure you're too terrified to dive for. Your dreams are sending you messages in bottles, and you're using them as paperweights. Here's something Jung understood that nobody wants to hear. Suffering that comes from avoiding your purpose is worse than the suffering of pursuing it. At least when you're moving toward individuation, the pain has meaning, but the suffering of staying stuck, that's pure hell. It's the hell of knowing, somewhere deep down, that you're living someone else's life. You think you need more information. You think you need another degree, another mentor, another sign from the universe. No. What you need is to stop using seeking as a form of hiding. Because here's the cosmic joke. The moment you stop looking for your purpose is the moment it can finally find you. But that requires something terrifying. Admitting that you already know what it is. The man with the violin dreams. He quit banking at 55, started taking lessons again. His teacher was a 20-year-old conservatory student who looked at him like he was crazy. His family thought he'd lost his mind. 3 years later, he played his first recital, Brahms, in a small church to an audience of 12 people. He wept through the entire last movement, not because he was sad, because he was finally actually alive. Your purpose isn't noble. It isn't grand. It doesn't give a damn about your 5-year plan. It's specific, it's strange, it's inconvenient, and it's yours. It's been yours all along. The only question is, how much more of your life are you willing to waste pretending it doesn't exist? Because whether you admit it or not, you already know. You've always known. That's why you're so tired. Not from searching, from resisting. The purpose you're looking for, it's looking for you too. It's been looking for you your whole life. And it's exhausted from being ignored. So what's it going to be? Another year of productive distraction? Another decade of being whoever you think you're supposed to be? Or are you finally ready to discover that who you actually are is exactly who you need to be? The choice is yours. It always has been. That's the most terrifying truth of all.